You're listening to WeDeepen Media.
Ugh, politics. Did you get triggered? I didn't, but most people do. Listen, if anyone can be a shaman to political enlightenment and wise democracy, it's Indy Reishi. His show, Political Hope, has over 20 podcast interviews to listen to and decide if he is indeed a worthy political shaman. Moreover, at Political Hope on the WeDeepen Podcast Network. Find Political Hope at WeDeepen.com or search for it now in your podcast app. Hit the subscribe or follow button and check it out after you listen to this episode of Deepen with Christina. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Deepen with Christina. I'm your host, Christina Weber, founder of WeDeepen and Feminine Weapon, and also a certified professional coach for those curious about self-discovery and social discovery. This podcast episode is an edge. I'm by myself. Yes, this is a solo episode. You are just going to hear Christina go through what I am navigating within my own psyche around entrepreneurship, love, and how I want to live my life. And I say it's an edge because who am I talking to? I am talking to you because you're listening. However, when I was challenged, I'll say I was challenged to do the solo episodes, or it feels like a challenge. I had said to Brian Howie is the one who is my podcast producer, manager. He's also he is the linkage, the producer for all of the podcasts within the WeDeepen network. And Brian has been coaching all of us. There's a group, Political Hope, Elevate to Legendary. So he's been coaching the podcast on the network. And I asked him recently, I said, what could I be doing better? Like, what do you think for my show? And he said, you rely too much on your guest. Christina, you're interesting. Just go be interesting and share and speak from your heart. So that is what I'm doing today. And when he said that, I'm thinking, okay, I need to line up a bunch of Barbie dolls, maybe some teddy bears. And then as I was coming to began to just push start, to push record, I thought of, you know what? I am going to talk to myself, whether it's my younger self, whether it's my current self. Hey, maybe at times I will speak to my older self, because I am not only, this is like the first of multiple podcasts that I am going to record solo. I made a little bit of the notes for me to use to discuss at times. You know, as I get comfortable with this, you're going to go on the journey of me getting comfortable with speaking to myself or to you. And so you're going to be on that journey. There's times I imagine I'm going to be a little nervous. This is vulnerable, speaking from the heart, and also not having direct feedback in front of you. And it's a growth exercise, and my purpose in life, which I believe our purpose in life is growth. And I do think that's actually growth more towards being together, becoming one, elevating human consciousness. So this challenge to do solo podcast is rubbing all the right edges. Now, this episode today, what I want to discuss is social media. I am shifting my relationship with social media, so I want to go into that with you. And I want to give you an update on WeDeepen. Where are we at? What are we working on? And then that leads into a little of my own personal love life, because if they're all just meshed together, I decided to live a life that is fully, authentically, truly me in every aspect. And a decade ago, I realized that living in the box of corporate America was not for me. And so I've been out on this journey of, I'm mixing my passion with my purpose in it all together. If I know many people within the WeDeepen community can totally relate to that. I'm going to give you an update on WeDeepen. So first, though, I want to start with social media. This is such a subject to unpack. I've danced with my relationship ever since its existence, probably about 15 years ago in my early mid-20s with Facebook. And initially, I was a child who had many photo albums. I'd go out with friends. We'd have disposable cameras, digital cameras, print them, pictures out. And when social media first came about, it was around, look at this new way of storing my memories. And over the years, it also became, especially when you become an entrepreneur, it's a place to share your work. Let's be real. You have to tell other people that you are doing so they can support. If you're a hairdresser, you tell people you cut hair. If you're an event producer, you tell people you produce events. And you want people to see your messages, specifically around, if I think of in the event space or even hosting a podcast or creating content, there's almost like this direct feedback loop that needs to felt received. And now today with the algorithms and so many people, it's so cluttered that I find sometimes that I post and I'm like, where's the fulfillingness of this on the receiving end? I had this vision the other day as I was laying in bed thinking about social media of how it also is creating a queendom for a few select women. And what I mean by that, in dating apps, one of the things that was proven statistically in dating apps, that there are a large number of men that tend to go after the same 5% of women. You could even think of it, maybe it's the 80-20 rule, but I think it's even more. It's skewed off even more deeply. And so you have in social media these, Kim Kardashians, and also a lot with, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 plus. A lot of the men's eyeballs are going directly to these women, which is interesting. And these women, I mean, they're radiant. Usually there's radiance, there's they're charismatic, and beautiful, stunning. And it's fun. I imagine so fun to be those women on that receiving end. But for me, who was, I was born in 1981, and my work essentially, when WeDeepen was created, it was like, oh wait, I don't really like the dating app thing. So it was an alternative to dating apps. I really love being in person with people. That is where I shine. That is why I do everything that I do. You're hearing this podcast, but more in my heart, I want to be with you in a physical space in a room. Maybe that's even what this podcast will do. Lure you in so we can be together. And I will curate the best experiences. Hello, WeDeepen, the best experiences, facilitators, people. I mean, I'm so blessed with the people that I'm surrounded, like the friends that I have these deep conversations with. Being a 1981 baby, I didn't grow up with this stuff. At 16, I got a phone in my bedroom. My brother and I had our own phone line. And, I'd have late night conversations with friends and sleepovers. And, I did get a beeper before smartphones came out or before there was even cell phones. And I walk around and I see, the children, our youth, you've all seen it, that our children are growing up learning social skills, if we can even call it that, but they are learning habits from the phones. And we all know too, even in early, if we think, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships, and the most significant relationship is generally the relationship that you're in that creates family, whether that's with one person, a partner that you have children with, or whether it's a community. And so these, where was I going with this thought? Bring it back, Christina. Yeah, I've realized that like I prefer that relationship, that those significant relationships most closest to us aren't the ones that are being interacted through social media. For sure, it's fun to cheerlead my friends on, to like their posts, for us to be in that game together. But I think there's like a universal, specifically with my generation around social media, unless you've killed your business with it, and God bless you. Like, congratulations if you've killed your business with social media. But I also had this thought around just feeling that it's a little bit, it devalues life. If you've heard me talk about, or I've always been, vocal about this theory around the Robin Dunbar number. Robin Dunbar is an anthropologist. He's studied the brain of primates, and he has kind of come to the conclusion that human brains can only handle about 100 to 200 people, or 150 people on average. So in the social media realms, why I am, 4,500 friends on Facebook, part of, specific groups, Instagram, another few thousand people there, and WhatsApp, all these portals of communication into my brain. And I care. I really do care about I'd like every interaction with every person. It doesn't matter that it's happening online, is still sort of significant. And I think too, if you think your brain can only handle so much, that then life becomes a little bit more devalued. Keep going with me for this thought for a moment in time. The news, the general news, feeds to us often stories. This week, it's, I look through, I was scrolling through the Facebook news, and I see woman gets stuffed in duffel bag, and just all these just stories of death. I'm in Maryland right now, in Baltimore, and what's happening in Baltimore, and and then you're connected to so many people. And if somebody in your closest 5 circle or 15 circle, and that's kind of what the Robin Dunbar number also talks about, is that you have 5 people closest to you, then another external ring of 15 people, and then another ring of 35 people, and the rest up until the 150 people, which includes, your community at large. And in social media, with it being such a large number of people, when somebody has a birthday or when they pass away, I find that I feel like I have it's almost more the feeling. It's hard to even get to the feeling. You feel this moment of sadness, but it's more of like the brain is trickled on and the brain is just processing, but it's, you have to get from the brain into the feelings. That's brain gives you access to the feelings, and it desensitizes life. Or at least that's how I'm feeling what I'm in the query of. Now, I just want to say, as I'm recording solo podcasts for the first time, and I'm going to continue to do this, that what goes on in Christina's brain is odd sometimes. I have all these thoughts, and the thoughts aren't me. So please just remember that. I know it's going to be hard not to judge me for my thoughts. However, these thoughts are running through me. They're running through the ether, and I am going to speak what just comes to heart and mind in the most authentic, real way. What else do I want to share with you? So in my plan to shift my relationship with social media, what I've done, I've deleted Facebook off my phone. So the app is gone from my phone. For years, there is a Facebook newsfeed eradicator plugin that you can download and attach to your Facebook on your desktop. So I haven't had a news feed there in years, but you still have that app on the phone. So that's gone, the app on the phone. And I've kept Messenger for now because some messages come through and I like to engage there. Instagram, I've deleted Instagram from my phone, but I do want to get out the word about my podcast and these releasing. I'll give you another insight. So Brian Howie of, podcast producer, also just another shout out to Brian Howie. And so you know who this man is. He is the founder of Pod Populi and the host of the Great Love Debate podcast. It's one of the top dating and relationship podcasts. And he launched about 6 years ago. So he's very well versed in the podcast industry. And Pod Populi now has retail locations. They're podcast studios in about 5 states: Ohio, Arizona, Texas, Florida. Maybe there's 4 right now. And he's very well seasoned in podcasting. And another thing he just shared with me as he was encouraging me to do my own solo podcast, he also has said that the images, the icons that I publish to share about this podcast episode with you, he wants them to be pictures of me. He's like, don't take this offensively, but you're pretty. Just put pictures of you. Your guests are awesome, but you hide behind your guest. Hey, this is somebody's opinion, but where I noticed this is an edge. This is a growth edge to recording this podcast in my mother's living room by myself. Okay, so where I'll go into Instagram is to post these my audio icons. That's what will be posted into Instagram. And I deleted the app. However, I'm going to re-download it 2 days a week. So 2 days a week, I will use Instagram. And because messages are attached to Instagram in that way, those are the days I will check my Instagram messages. Now, in making this decision, I have this new significant other in my life that I am... I'm crushing. My heart is happy and excited about a future with this particular person. And his love language is Instagram Reels. He sends me Instagram Reels, sometimes 10 a day in Instagram. And so I also am going to log in 2 times a week to Instagram so I can see those reels. I told him to keep sending them. I'll take a moment and I'll get to go through because I want to, I don't know. I like meeting him in that space and entertaining his love language. And also the reels are just, the curation of them are cute. They make my heart happy. Now, what happened with social media for me to feel as though I want to shift this relationship? I think it's in the ether. It's something that I'm feeling, and it's something that I'm noticing if I'm navigating, then other people must be navigating it as well. And first off, I'm a very curious person. And what social media can do is just let my curiosity run wild. There's no container for it. It's like I guess there is a dopamine fix to it. And if I rewind back to my childhood, I spent a lot of my teens investigating love, investigating relationships. My brother in his bedroom had a shoebox that he would put all the notes of his relationships. Like his girlfriend would write the notes and, they would be folded in the box, and I would go through and I'd read all of the letters that him and his girlfriend passed back and forth to each other, and all their little, I guess, memorabilia. Do people still have these shoeboxes? I think, you know what? I might make a shoebox for this relationship. And I miss the shoebox days. I wonder if kids, are they still creating love shoeboxes? Anyway, so I played investigator. I would break into my brother's room. I would read his notes. My mother had a journal. My parents were, in this strange, in my teens, that's when they were navigating a separation, although my mom was dedicated to staying together and my father was acting out and not coming home at night and not being fully authentic. And so there was a lot of us trying to figure it out, like figure out what's going on. And me in that young age also experiencing my own first loving relationships, I quickly realized that it wasn't, just what I perceived or what people were telling you. So I went on this quest to find it out. And I would do my own little investigation as a teenager. And so that's also too what social media allows me to do. And sometimes that habit takes us out of the present, and it's like, why did I find myself on this person's page after, scrolling through? And so, some things that I back in the fall of this past year, I was dating a man who was a 50-year-old man, and we met through Facebook, and in our relationship was long distance. He's in Los Angeles. I was traveling from Maryland back to Los Angeles for work and to be with friends, and back and forth and back and forth. And I would see him the two of the times that I came there, I would spend some time with him. But in the distance between us, when I would post stories, I noticed he was always the first person to like my stories. And so I got in the habit of this communication with him where I would post a story and then I would look for him to see it. And that became this thing. And it would also feel like, oh my God, he likes me at first. And then it was cute until it just wasn't cute. And I was like, I need to get out of this relationship because I wasn't hearing from him in the communication means that I was most interested in, hey, call me, phone. I like phone calls. And I needed to break that habit with him. So that was just something that I had noticed that I had to go through. I also noticed in previous relationships when I would end them, you find yourself going back and looking at who they are and making sure, a lot of my relationships would happen in my 30s. They would be 1 month, 2 month, 3 month relationships. And in the end of that, I would question, did I make the right decision? And so I'd be searching through their Facebook pages for validation or for validation. And sometimes that would take me into did I make the right decision? So you're questioning yourself again. And then, we all do it right. We all get curious about our exes and the people, and we end up finding ourselves back into their worlds. And here's the thing. All of the energy that we spend having these thoughts and exploring social media is energy that is not spent elsewhere. So in this shifting of my relationship with social media, what will I be filling the space with? Writing projects, some other, deepening within my work, within this new relationship. I love making greeting cards. I'll make more greeting cards. More meditation, more accessing more deeper spirituality. After I record this podcast, I am going to go geek out on some episodes on the Gaia Network. Actually, before I recorded this episode, I listened to a hypnosis. I actually went to Gaia, typed in social media, and I got a hypnosis to shift my relationship. So that's a great, I highly recommend, go check it out. She guides you into a deep state of relaxation and then reshifts your relationship with social media. Now, the last thing I also will confess is that I realized in this new relationship, this is why I was I need to, I'm not doing this again. And I told him, I had realized he hadn't liked any of my posts, and I actually had posted a picture of him and I together, which is, if you've known me, I haven't done that in decades, but the most significant relationship I have been in was 25 to 30. And we were in relationship in the early days of Facebook. So our whole relationship was, photos of us. After we broke up, Instagram was created. So I never had that space for us, but it was a commitment over the years. Like, I'm not sharing anything here unless I feel that it's significant. So I did it with this new one. And then days later, it wasn't about necessarily that picture. It was that I was already had an observation around, oh, he doesn't like content. He sends me all these reels, but doesn't like content. And then something scrolled through my Facebook of a friend, or I guess I'll call him an acquaintance, who is dating a beautiful woman model, and I saw that he had liked that picture. And I was like, what the fuck? Why is my quote unquote boyfriend, and I say quote unquote boyfriend because I do have a challenge with the labeling. I'm still feeling my way into labels. Why is he liking that and not liking, my stuff? And instead of holding it in, I said it, and he was so cute. He just went back and started liking everything. But that's kind of like the real, true authenticity and vulnerability of sharing that, even sharing that with you, hey, if it's going through my mind, it's going through somebody else's mind. So yes, social media, new relationship. Maybe this will encourage some of you to embrace a new relationship with social media as well. Second update, WeDeepen. Where are we? What are we doing? I spent the 2 weeks recently in Miami at a retreat center. This is around, I guess, the new relationship that I'm in. And there was no Wi-Fi there. Challenging for being a startup founder to be in a space without Wi-Fi. But it really allowed me to, I'm seeing the gifts inside of that. I surrendered to the experience, being in a space where the Wi-Fi or the hotspot goes in and out and in and out, and it just unhooks and rehooks. You're like, you know what? This just is not my time, and I have to do something differently. But where WeDeepen is right now, what I'm feeling is this desire to move away from getting in the ring with event producers. That's what my inbox is full of people within Los Angeles mainly, some in Miami, some in New York, who want to facilitate their workshops or their festivals and want support in promoting them. And essentially, WeDeepen was, the idea initially was to build the marketplace for social and transformational experiences, include the festivals, so there's one central location that people can go to discover them all. Now, I am realizing that, fucking 4 years into this journey, that particular piece of like a marketplace, that is a piece of software. That is tech. And I am a non-tech founder. And for years, I was weaving together pre-existing technology. If you ever want to speak about the ticket processing industry, also I looked at the fitness industry, how to create credits. Like it's this unsolved mystery. My tech stack is has always been a challenge. Right now, we have built a portal system. Thank goodness for my colleague Matthew. He is just genius and also weaving together pre-existing technology. And so we built this submission process for guides and brands to submit their events. And then we get them on the receiving end and we onboard them onto the calendar. However, it's so labor intensive to get them up. And then how the event industry works, generally there's not, everything it's like, hey, my event is in 2 days. Maybe my event is in 2 weeks. But each time I take them in this way without the tech backend being built, I am essentially operating like a tech product. And the value that, the perceived value to the perceived payout on the back end doesn't work. It's without scale ability, it doesn't work. And actually, that's even too of just what I've, in this moment of saying that out loud, it's the scalability is missing in the current iteration of WeDeepen. And so I find myself kind of not wanting to have the conversations with experienced designers at the moment, or just also even like realizing not necessarily I don't want to have the conversations because you have no clue. I want to help you. Like, I want to help you get people to your events. I want to support people meeting in person, learning intimacy, practicing intimacy, love, overcoming their fears. Like, that is where I want to guide humanity into those spaces that these facilitators and brands are operating in their zone of genius when they're doing it. However, I don't want to get in the ring with you anymore. And I am in the process of figuring out how I get out of it. And at the same time, this NFT company has come my way, and I have this proposal, which is really interesting because essentially what I'm also talking to you about, this marketplace, it does need to be decentralized. And what do I mean by decentralized? Like, this particular product does not need a team of, I don't believe it needs a team of 600 employees or 22,000 employees like Uber has outside of drivers. I want it to operate autonomously as a facilitator brand. You go and you upload your event into the marketplace. Once you're approved, there's a reputation system built in. But we don't need these high taxes that Eventbrite or some of these other platforms charge. Just let's create our own marketplace. We cast a net over it. It's hard for people not to see when we come together as a collective. But we, again, all can operate autonomously within inside of that particular marketplace. So I have this proposal from this NFT to make it an NFT. We'd pre-sell memberships, and they'd help to build the marketplace on the blockchain. I am exploring that. We'll see where it goes. It excites me because that's one way that I'm like, all right, I will keep going with this mission of aggregating all these experiences into one central location. What I'm also really excited about with WeDeepen is producing a WeDeepen festival, a 4-day showcase, awards, curating the keynote speakers that I think would be so fascinating, interesting to have them in the room. Those people being Esther Perel, with David Icke, with Robin Dunbar, and Daryl Davis. Who are these people? Esther Perel. If you don't know who Esther Perel is just yet, please schedule an hour on your calendar and go and watch her TED Talks, her South by Southwest Talks. There is the Esther Perel discussion group on Facebook that we partnered with for Relate Fest. She's 2 podcasts, How's Work, another one on Where Do We Begin, which is a relationship-oriented podcast. Following Esther Perel's teachings is actually how WeDeepen was created. It was, okay, most people didn't grow up observing healthy relationships. The topic is completely neglected in our educational curriculum. And in that journey, I just would listen to Esther Perel speak, and, and it's not just her, it's her and a network of psychologists and leaders within, thought leaders in that space, elders, I'll say, is in that space too. So Esther Perel keynote, along with David Icke, the controversial conspiracy theorist David Icke. I know people love to hate on him, but this man is one of the most fascinating minds of our time, the way his brain thinks, whether he's crazy, not crazy, lizard people. Hey, until someone proves it wrong, but you can't prove it wrong. I don't know how you prove it. Tell me. David Icke, he has, go to Gaia and watch Renegade. It's a documentary. He wrote, I believe, the book Renegade as well, but the documentary Renegade is fascinating on Gaia, as well as a series, Decoding the Matrix, which I watched an episode on AI and the archons, which pretty much talks about this progression of smartphones and technology and how it'll be integrated into humans with 5G, all this conspiracy stuff. But you watch that episode, I think it's episode 9, AI and Archons on the Gaia Network, Decoding the Matrix with David Icke. Him in the room with Esther Perel and watching them discuss. Okay, sign me up. Another 2 people that I think would be instrumental for the conversation. Daryl Davis. Do you guys know who Daryl Davis is? This man, he is a Black man. He befriended members of the Ku Klux Klan, and through that befriending of them, converted about like 150 to 200 plus members out of the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, how powerful is that to move from a place of curiosity, to really let your curiosity guide you instead of all these defenses up? Like, that man is like pedestal. I know he's human, but like, put him up on a pedestal. Like, great leader, Daryl Davis. And then the 4th is Robin Dunbar. I talked about the Dunbar number before of the human brain, and I think it's really important. If I think that one of the purposes of life is this idea of becoming one through living lifetime after lifetime and evolving to eradicate all of the negativity, the fears, the things holding us back from being the most authentic, truest, purest expression of our self-identity, of our soul. That's moving us, closer into oneness. But how does the human brain manage that and handle that, especially in the social media age? So Robin Dunbar, would be fascinating to hear him talk about the Dunbar number and how we as a society consider that for our own brain powers and energetics. Because really, where you spend your energy, I mean, that's all we got. Our attention is the most important commodity. Where we put that attention is. I'm so grateful even to have your attention in this moment and that you're listening to this episode with me. So, okay. WeDeepen Festival. Now, Agri Retreats, Miami. This is where the last Unleash was. This is where my new love story, I guess, of grew from. And, oh gosh, sharing that publicly with you feels good and also a little surreal and unbelievable. So yeah, Agri Retreats, that's where we can do the festival. And that's where I'm excited to also start programming. I see, it's like a dream come true to have access to land and all these ideas around connecting people in my head, and to be able to have a space to invite people in to produce their festivals and their retreats, and to help market those and provide the land and to serve for those. That's a dream come true. So the WeDeepen Festival, and then also having, I've always wanted to have a party, a monthly birthday party. Maybe it's a monthly birthday party retreat. Hey, a monthly festival, like Aries, Taurus, and you get to, sets the space. We get to celebrate, birthdays. I also think it'd be great to do human design retreats. Maybe we just gather projectors, reflectors, generators, if you're not aware what the human design system is, I am very big on self-discovery, and human design and gene keys have been some of my greatest access points to more discover about my own individuality. Because yes, we are the truth is that we're separate souls, but we're also a union of souls. So we're one and we're separate all at the same time. So gene keys, human design, are these two modalities that, if you look into them, and I'll do future episodes on both of those. But I love to have retreats with these particular topics, and even festivals. A friend of mine recently launched his film Finding Sandler. David Seth Cohen. I worked on this film. I'm an associate producer of it. I worked on this film about a decade ago and helped him raise money to complete it through a Kickstarter campaign. And finally, Sandler is this journey of a man having a dream to go back and to reconcile an experience that he passed up on 10 years before. He was, I wasn't expecting to tell the story, but now I'm going to tell the story because it's good. So David Seth Cohen, in like 1999 he was working on the set of Big Daddy, and his biggest idol was Adam Sandler. And one night he was assigned to bring Adam Sandler his outfit for the premiere of Waterboy. And it's New York City. He shows up to the apartment and he has the outfit. He brings it into the front desk of the residential building, and the doorman was like, Adam said, bring it on up. So he goes up to Adam's door and knocks on it. Adam invites him in for a drink. Well, David, he had a colleague of his that was in the car downstairs, and she was waiting for him. And so he felt bad that she was down there. They didn't have cell phones. This is pre-smartphones. So he couldn't call her. So he refused the drink with Adam Sandler. And years later, he's in his 20s. He's working a, boring job making commercials. He's a filmmaker. And he had this thought, like, what if I didn't pass up that drink? What if I had that drink with Adam Sandler? And so he made this film that became a 10-year film in the making. Like, fucking congratulations that it is now doing the festival rounds. And it's this whole journey. The film is about him going to have the drink with Adam Sandler that he once passed up years ago. It's hilarious. It's funny. You also get to see the insides of Hollywood and the egos. So Finding Sandler is the movie. And I was thinking to him, I was like, we should do a Finding Sandler retreat. I think there's a lot of like instead. And he said, well, maybe I could do a TV show. He's been thinking of the TV show, and a podcast would be great too on Finding Sandler. But for me, I'm like, get people in person, off screens. Let's get back together or be together. I think this is enough for a first solo episode. I wonder what this experience is like for you. I wonder what this experience is going to be like for me to listen to again. I will get better at solo podcasts. This is like my practice. You have to do something. You have to start doing it to feel comfortable at doing it. So thank you all for tuning in. Do go to WeDeepen.com. Check out the calendar. There are festivals listed up there and upcoming events. So check it out. Come meet me in person. Check out agri-retreats if you do have a retreat idea. I'd love to hear it. And you can send me an email, c@WeDeepen.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, do share it, like it, subscribe, leave a comment. Your feedback is important to me. It actually is what drives me to keep going and living this life. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Love you. Bye for now.